And it wasn't really, we didn't touch really about the goaltending coaching, but we went through how really we can work to get, how we can work and how the program can be set up. So that was really interesting topic and had a good discussions afterwards. And thanks again for Balint and Estonian Federation to share their experience. And for that you can go back to our webpage, and there you can see all those webinars and all those presentations that were done in the last several years. And through the season we'll have different topics. And our second webinar is kids recruitment and retention. And with every of those topics, we have a timeline of 45, 60 minutes. And first, it will be a little bit of me talking. I'm sorry about that. And then after that, we will move to the main topic of the webinar. And then we will have some IHF initiatives connected to it, or valuable for the time that we are having a webinar. And then on the end, like I said, at the moment you can only see me, and then you will see our presenters. But on the end we will have you will all be able to join us with the questions and answers and discussion. So I said we are streaming live on YouTube, so there is people going on YouTube, and you can shoot a message there or make a comment, and we can discuss about that. Or then we have a Zoom, which is an even better option because we can be interactive on Zoom. So once we are done with presentations, we'll have questions and answers and discussions with participants in Zoom. And there we will add you as a panelist. And through that, we will have a discussion, and maybe you have some, for sure, you will have some questions after our presentations. So I don't wanna take too much of your time, but this is just a little bit of housekeeping. And today I had a really great pleasure working with Ludwig, who is here with us as well through the last season, where we were supporting through our Growing the Game initiative, which I'll be talking later a little bit today as well. We supported the new pilot project, the Try Hockey pilot for Hockey Canada, and what they did was a series of pilots designed to make hockey more accessible, inclusive, and welcoming to all Canadians. So different all the Canadians, and different ways of how to kind of design those recruitment practices, or sorry, how to design the recruitment initiatives. And really we talked about the impact that they have on the communities, and on the newcomers, on the girls, on the different youth, and all different participants through different spheres of in Canada. And then one of the main points when we had this Growing the Game project was that we take the key learnings, and then we talk with South American countries that what could be some takes from this project and from these pilots, and how we can incorporate that in, let's say, a smaller level federations and the clubs, and this we can really take globally. So I would thank I'm really happy. I was really happy to work with Ludwig, and really great pleasure to meet him, and we had a great discussion. And I'm happy to present what he was presenting to us. So let's go to the video.
Good afternoon. My name is Ludwig Lord. I am Senior Manager Growth and Retention in the Member Engagement Department with Hockey Canada. It is my pleasure to be with all of you today on this Skills for All webinar hosted by the IIHF. Today we are going to talk about the IIHF Hockey Canada Try Hockey pilots. These pilots were hosted in the 23-24 as well as the 24-25 hockey seasons. Before we start, I just want to acknowledge a few things that Hockey Canada has been doing over the past few years. Hockey Canada continues to make meaningful investments in grassroots programming, recognizing that the foundation of our game is built within local communities. By supporting our minor hockey associations, our coaches, and families across our wide country, we are creating accessible, welcoming environments where every player and participant can develop a lifelong love for the game of hockey. A central focus of this commitment is the ongoing growth and development of women and girls hockey, ensuring equitable opportunities, tailored programming, and clear pathways from introductory level through to high performance. Through these efforts, Hockey Canada is not only strengthening participation nationwide, but also shaping a more inclusive and sustainable future for our sport of hockey. We appreciate the support of our board, all of Hockey Canada's staff, all of our members, for their vision and continued support in advancing a game we all love. With a strong priority on growth and retention, Hockey Canada has dedicated significant efforts in the past few years to building a world-class hockey ecosystem and a culture that also inspires greatness in all of us in Canada. As part of this commitment, numerous initiatives were put forward. One of them is the Pathway to Hockey coverage, which began with the IIHF Hockey Canada Tri-Hockey pilots. Since the inception of the pilots and the Pathway to Hockey coverage, more than 200 tri-hockey events have taken place across the country in the past 2 seasons. I invite you to look up more information on our Pathway to Hockey coverage on hockeycanada.ca or by clicking the link in the presentation that will be available after this webinar. Our Women and Girls department has also been working diligently to advance the growth of development of women and girls hockey across the country, and building on the momentum of the discussion paper, Building the Future of Women's and Girls Hockey, which outlines key recommendations and strategic priorities to continue driving progress in this area. We also invite you to review and read this discussion paper on hockeycanada.ca or also by clicking the link available in this presentation. Hockey Canada has also announced in the last few weeks that our player registration has increased for the 4th consecutive season, reaching over 603,000 participants in the past 24-25 season, which also included a record-setting 115,000 women and girls, the highest in Canadian history. Growth was also recorded in 12 of our 13 members, reflecting a 2.4% overall rise. As well, in the past few seasons, we have seen increasing numbers in retention. 90% last season, which is our best number since 2010-2011. More than 6 have also joined the game this past season. Now let's talk a little bit about our IIHF Hockey Canada Tri-Hockey pilots. These pilots were designed to create sustainable and accessible hockey programs for diverse communities across Canada. Our objectives were to learn by implementing pilots in rural and urban settings and see how these pilots could then be scaled nationally across all of our hockey associations. As well, we had numerous discussions with South American MNAs throughout the pilots, as we were looking at seeing how our lessons learned in Canada could also be implemented and scaled in South American MNAs. The planning phase for our pilots involved defining the objectives to ensure long-term program sustainability, establishing a structured approach for collaboration with local hockey associations and community stakeholders, identifying key target demographics, which included Indigenous communities, BIPOC individuals, low-income families, as well as new Canadians. Creating a timeline for program implementation, including the application process and the pilot execution, was also one of our objectives, as well as organizing training and orientation sessions for all the volunteers and coordinators. In terms of budget, the screen you are seeing shows our budget allocation. We were very grateful to receive funding from the IIHF Growing the Game Fund. As well, Hockey Canada contributed a significant amount. Our total budget ranged in over 132,000 Canadian dollars. Our allocations went mainly to equipment, as well as other costs to support those pilots. As you can see here, jerseys and socks were provided to every single participant. Jerseys bearing the Hockey Canada crest on the chest, as well as the IIHF logo on the hem of the jersey. Equipment was a vital part to these pilots. We provided two types of packages. A full equipment package, head-to-toe equipment with a hockey bag and everything you need to play, as well as what we called a reduced equipment package. This included a helmet, a neck guard, gloves, skates, as well as a stick. These reduced packages were used in instances where it was more a learn-to-skate pilot, leading into a learn-to-play or try hockey pilot further down the road. Other costs included providing subsidies for all our participating minor hockey associations to cover the cost of ice rental, venue rental, get-togethers, and snacks for the participants and the parents. Tracking and execution. Tracking was performed through detailed data collection throughout the entire process, the entire pilots, as well as post-events. Registration numbers and demographics are identified on the screen. As you can see, 52% plus were boys, as 46% plus were girls. In terms of race and ethnicity, 54% of our participants identified as Indigenous, with 94% of them being First Nations. We also surveyed equipment distribution and utilization. In some cases, minor hockey associations would give the equipment with the registration to the pilot. In other instances, some association would lend out the equipment and keep it for further pilots or programs down the line. Volunteer participation and roles were also tracked. An important data also is participants' retention data. Our retention rates were at 52.29%, meaning that last spring, 52.29% of all our pilots participants had registered with one local hockey association to participate in Hockey Canada sanctioned programs in a season. Our highlights are noted here as well. 375 participants, 10 pilots executed. Out of these pilots, sessions range from 2 to 11 sessions per pilot, more than 60 hours of on-ice activities. Over 140 volunteers contributed to the success of the pilots, and 324 sets of equipment were handed out. I invite each and every one of you to review this PowerPoint after the seminar. It will provide more in-depth detail on every single pilot. For this seminar, I'm just going to go to the overview of each of these pilots. Capital Region Female in British Columbia focus on girls and Indigenous youth. 6 sessions and 46 participants. New Market in Ontario targeted low-income and BIPOC communities. 6 sessions were held, 30 participants. Peerless Trout First Nations in Alberta targeted Indigenous youth, 6 sessions and 59 participants. Hazelton Minor Hockey Association in British Columbia targeted financially challenged families and Indigenous children, 2 sessions and 33 participants here. Greater Miramichi at the other end of the country in New Brunswick focused on U7 and U9 girls with 2 sessions and 14 participants. Brampton, Ontario focused on New Canadians with 59 participants spread out over 3 sessions. Halifax Hawks Minor Hockey Association in Nova Scotia targeted the Muslim community with 10 on-ice sessions and 40 participants. Cape Breton Blizzard in Nova Scotia focused on Indigenous youth girls. In this case, we were looking at girls aged 11 to 16 years old, with 28 of them participating. Fredericton, New Brunswick targeted neurodiverse youth with 11 sessions and 35 participants. Finally, our last event took place in Ottawa during the World Junior Championship, which focused on underrepresented inner-city groups. 6 sessions were held with 31 participants. Overall pilot overview. We've tracked, we've measured, we've surveyed, and we've discussed with each and every one of our associations. Here are some of the key elements we've noted. Coordinated efforts to grow grassroots participation in hockey. We achieve this by reducing financial and social barriers to entry. These programs, all of them reached a wide range of demographics. As mentioned before, these included newcomers to Canada, Indigenous communities, neurodiverse youth, girls age 11 to 16 years old, all of them new to the sport. We also noted that free or low-cost equipment, accessible registration methods, and a strategic community partnership really helped these pilots. To be noted once again is the importance of equipment and accessibility. This is something we heard from each and every one of our minor hockey associations. The main challenge is getting the equipment to get the new kids on the ice, which is why the funding provided by IIHF, as well as by us at Hockey Canada, helped alleviate that stress on minor hockey associations, allowing them to focus more on the targeted community, the promotion, and the execution of their pilots. As well, most associations leaned heavily on local schools, social media, cultural and religious institutions to connect with their targeted audience. Again, this is something we found was very important. Connecting with the local community and/or ambassadors that are able to drive the message to the community you are looking to reach. Recommendations and best practices. Here are some of the successes we've noted. A low participant to instructor ratio really improved the engagement on the ice. Equipment provision was critical, as we've discussed before, in overcoming the cost barrier, limiting the amount of money, if even offering that pilot for free. Tailored marketing strategies effectively reached the targeted communities. Again, creating a success story, allowing pilots to get the children they wanted on the ice. Strong partnerships with local businesses and organizations also enhance sustainability of these programs. Finally, parents also reported a significant positive impact on their children's enthusiasm and social engagement from being part of these pilots. Challenges and recommendations. Here are some of the challenges we've noted, as well as potential recommendations for the future. Equipment sizing issues. In the case of these pilots, we had arranged for a set equipment size curve to be shipped to those associations. In the future, we may want to look at requesting sizing to ensure a proper fitting rather than having to replenish equipment or working with local sports stores to make sure we have all the right sizes. Registration difficulties. A simplified Hockey Canada registration process helped our new participants. Well, we are also looking into other ways to reach out to people and to make registration even more easier. Ice time constraints was another challenge. Collaborating with local arenas for subsidized or free ice slots is vital. Volunteer retention. Volunteers are the real champions that are making each and every one of those pilots a success story. By offering small incentives or recognition programs to maintain their engagement is vital to the success of the pilots you'll be doing. Finally, program duration. Extended sessions were, when possible, ensured better skill development. 1 or 2 sessions is good. If we are looking at the 6 to 10 and above, you get the kids engaged, they come back again and again, and they're developing well. Scalability. One of the objectives of our pilots was to run 10 pilots across the country, learn from each and every one of them so that we could scale nationally, meaning all our associations could learn from those pilots and then adapt it in their community. A lot of it was discussed before, but once again, scalability is a success if we have community engagement, a replicable model, something that is flexible, designed to easily be adaptable from one community to another or to that community's need. An equipment bank. Associations can establish lending programs to make future programs more cost effective. Funding strategies. Seeking additional sponsorship or grants can really enhance the sustainability of those programs. Future expansion strategies. Here are a few things we've thought about moving forward. Enhance outreach. Develop more targeted promotional campaigns, leveraging social media and community events will definitely help. More ice time access. Negotiating longer-term partnerships with your local rinks. Expanded volunteer network. Implement volunteer training program to ensure continued support. Corporate and government partnerships, securing additional funding once again. And a multi-year growth strategy to develop a phased plan for introducing participants to structured hockey leagues after the pilots. In terms of our highlights, Hockey Canada, through its Game Change initiative and with the IIHF Hockey Canada Try Hockey pilots, has developed a program in which we are able to share stories via video and playbooks. In this case, we will review the video and talk a little further about the playbook after.
Roland, do you prefer to swing the stick that way, or do you prefer to swing the stick that way?
I need these on the ice. Yeah, I'll see you on the ice.
Today we're welcoming 30 kids that are going to be new to the sport, into hockey, fitting them head to toe in brand new equipment, getting them on the ice for a 1 hour first session.
Everybody got their stuff on, everybody ready to play. We're gonna fall a lot, and that's okay. It shows you're trying hard. Roll, up you get. Good, up you get.
It's critical for Hockey Canada to create opportunities in hockey, to learn the game, experience the game in a welcome, safe environment. And we can't do that alone. We're happy to be with Hockey Eastern Ontario here as one of our members. IIHF shares our goal in growing the game, making sure that anyone that wants to play the game and experience a great game has that opportunity. So through their Grow the Game Fund, Hockey Canada has collaborated with the IIHF to introduce what we call the Hockey Canada IIHF Try Hockey Pilots.
Good job.
I think we're getting to introduce a lot of non-traditional hockey families to hockey. We recognize at HEO that there's a lot of barriers to the sport, and I think this opens up doors to new families and new participants joining the game.
We're gonna skate. Now move your right foot a little bit towards me. Your right foot. That's it. Now move your left foot. There you go. You're doing it.
The Game Change initiative, it's really a celebration of successes across the country. Celebration that helps other associations replicate and do similar initiatives in their community.
I think our culture in Canada is so diverse, and a program like this welcomes new families in and makes them feel less intimidated about joining the sport.
Hockey, at its simplest, is fun and should be fun. Hockey really brings people together in communities across the country. It keeps kids active and engaged within their communities. So the more kids that we have playing the game, the more we'll coach the game down the road, the more that we'll officiate the game, and hopefully their children continue to play. So it's really a part of the fabric of who we are as a country.
So for very many of you, that was the very first time with all hockey equipment on a big ice surface like this. And you did a super job.
The hope would be is that we have thousands of associations running try hockey programs, learn to skate programs for families. So the ultimate goal is that this is happening across the country and hopefully across the world.
This really was a great video. One of our 10 pilots held once again at the World Junior Championship in Ottawa. But it's very good to look at. We invite you all to go to Game Change on hockeycanada.ca and look at this video as well as all the other ones we have, or by clicking through this presentation afterwards. What we also do at Hockey Canada here to help scale pilots such as these ones or any other great initiatives that our members or associations do is we create playbooks. So in this case, a playbook highlighting the success, but also key points to run such a program was developed. So by clicking here again in the presentation or going to Game Change on hockeycanada.ca, you could review this playbook, and I encourage you all to do it. Moving forward, as discussed early on with the IIHF Growing the Game Fund, one of the objectives as well was to educate and also collaborate with South American M&As on what we were doing to see if it was scalable or how it could be scaled in South American M&As. By doing so, we've held quite a few webinars with some of the M&As and kept discussing what we were doing here with the pilots, as well as with the final report and our findings. So here are key considerations for scalability. Once again, this was done with the South American M&As, but is applicable across the globe. Whether you're in Europe, you're in Asia, wherever you are, you could scale that to the level you're at, depending on how diverse your country is, how limited the amount of rinks are, whether you're talking about an urban or a rural setting, it's all applicable. So climate and ice availability. So obviously when we were talking with South American M&As, we did notice a limited ice rink infrastructures compared to us here in Canada. With ice hockey primarily practiced in countries such as Argentina, Chile, or Brazil. Emphasis on inline hockey or ball hockey in Europe, or everywhere in the world, floorball is very popular as well. These sports could be used as a transitional sport that can bridge the gap between that sport and actually going on the ice. So basically utilize multi-sport facilities such as gymnasiums or community centers or even outdoor sporting facilities to host practices and development sessions, such as, it could be a stick handling session, it could be a goaltender session or positioning session. It is up to you, but it's good to use those other sports or facility to bridge the gap with an on-ice session. Funding and cost management. So unlike Canada, South American associations may have limited external funding for ice hockey. So we encourage them to establish partnerships similar to what our smaller associations would do locally, with local businesses, tourism board, or even multinational corporations to secure sponsorship. Also, developing a sustainable funding model through government grants or any youth sports initiative is good, as it could provide funding to get started and kind of alleviate the cost of operating. Equipment access and distribution, similar to us in Canada here, it's a key factor in running ice hockey, learn to skate, learn to play, try hockey programs. So creating an equipment bank through donation with other international hockey organizations, if possible, is a good idea. Also establishing partnerships with North American associations or anywhere else in the world to receive maybe secondhand equipment or surplus of equipment is always a great way to start and to build an equipment bank to move further down the line. Volunteer staff and training, again, as mentioned, developing a volunteer training curriculum in collaboration with local schools and university will also increase that community involvement. Offer certification programs for coaches and trainers through online modules from the IIHF or other affiliate federations is also good, as you are arming your volunteers with more knowledge and credibility. Adaptation strategies. Localized community engagement, so building those partnerships with local cultural sports organizations and ambassadors is key. Highlight how hockey is inclusive, it's a community building sport, leverage your social medias and your local events, just generate as much interest as you can. We all believe it here, hockey is one, if not the most wonderful sport in the world, so let's get the word out and make sure that everybody is able to try it at least once and fall in love with it to hopefully play for the rest of their lives. A flexible program design, introducing multi-sport youth programs that will include both on and off ice, or in this case, maybe inline hockey and on ice hockey, will also, again, maximize accessibility in areas where hockey may not be the #1 sport or the most accessible, meaning there might not be as many rinks or equipment available. Adapt your curriculum to include basic skating and hockey fundamentals that can also be practiced off ice. Creative promotion and outreach is always good. So integrate a program into school sports curriculum if possible. Promote the program as a unique and modern way for youth and children to engage in physical activity and learn teamwork and other life lessons. Leverage your local culture. Once again, incorporate local traditions and language into the program, making it more relatable to your target audience. And collaborate with regional sports organizations and create hybrid programs combining popular sports. So basically, for example, football or futsal, you can have, half a day of football, half a day of hockey, and get the kids engaged into the sport. Practical implementation steps, identify 2-3 key cities with existing interests or facilities. So in the case of South American M&As, Buenos Aires, Santiago, and Sao Paulo were good choices. Conduct introductory clinics both inline or on ice if possible. Utilize floor hockey as an entry point for communities with no access to ice. Resource mobilization, engage embassies or cultural organizations and support cultural exchanges with other nations that do have hockey. Develop a partnership with Canadian or European hockey clubs that may be willing to donate gear or remote training sessions. Training and development, establish a coaching certification path that can be completed locally with the IIHF guidance. Create a volunteer network that will involve parents, community leaders, ambassadors, and local sports enthusiasts. Sustainability planning, build a community-based ownership model where your leaders can take charge and have the program be sustainable, and create self-sustaining revenue streams through community tournaments, fundraisings, hockey camps, merchandise, you name it. Make sure there's funding available so that you can continue and sustain the growth of your program. Monitor and evaluate. We did it here. All of us could do it. Track your data, survey, keep some feedback any way possible. That data is really what's going to help you. There's a lot of tools available. If you don't have any, some of them are like on mobile apps, but make sure you track, make sure you learn from every single opportunity that you're running a program so that you can always further develop these programs and improve them as you're moving forward. Basically, final thoughts, the success of scaling our IIHF Hockey Canada Tri-Hockey pilots to South America, in this case, but applicable in the world, hinges on adaptability, collaboration, and cultural alignment. By leveraging those existing community structures, forming strategic partnerships, and promoting inclusivity, the programs can become very successful grassroots initiatives and could really help you foster a new generation and a new culture of hockey within the region that you are doing those pilots and programs. In conclusion, we've realized that these pilots have proven to be impactful and sustainable approach to introducing hockey to diverse community across Canada. But once again, that can be scaled nationally, globally, to everybody. Strategic planning, targeted outreach, and dedicated community partnerships, all of this made these programs and pilots successful. These pilots have also demonstrated that hockey can be more accessible and inclusive when we address certain barriers such as cost, equipment availability, and community engagement. The success of our pilots can be attributed to the several factors below: comprehensive planning and execution, financial support and resource allocation, data-driven tracking and evaluation, community partnerships, and volunteer involvement, as well as adaptability and scalability of these pilots. Challenges and recommendation. While programs have significant success, we did also encounter some challenges, like I said, related to equipment, registration, on-ice availability. Addressing these challenges in a proactive way by properly planning, communicating, and creating partnerships will also strengthen all the future iterations of these pilots. Our path forward, we are building on the success of these pilots. Future programs should also continue to prioritize community engagement and inclusivity. We are working on a phase 2 of pilots. In this case, we are working on targeting new Canadians and new communities to our game from all the learnings we did through these pilots. Finally, before closing, I would like to once again acknowledge and thank the IIHF for the Growing the Game Fund that was available to Hockey Canada for the 2 seasons of the IIHF Hockey Canada Tri-Hockey Pilots. It was a pleasure to be here on this webinar with all of you. But before we leave and we open the floor for questions, I really wanted to thank, once again, like I said, the IIHF as well as all of Hockey Canada's members, but more specifically the members and associations that you see listed on this page, all of whom were vital in the success of the execution of each and every one of these pilots. Thank you very much. Hopefully you will download the presentation as well as the video and the playbook and learn from it. At Hockey Canada, we are always open to collaborating with each and every one of you. If there's any questions, reach out through the IIHF to us and we will do our best to help you out. It is our pleasure. And we're all making hockey better, growing the game, and having a lot of fun on the ice. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Ludwig, for presenting. And it's been really a pleasure. And before we move on for our IIHF initiative, I had a few questions already with in our chat as well as in our questions and answers. And first of all, welcome, Ludwig, and good morning for you, because I know it's a little bit early for you. Thank you for joining us.
It's never too early to talk about hockey, but thank you very much.
I actually one question that came up from the audience, I think it would be really interesting to talk, is that so because you're a federation who has different federations, associations under you, and then you were distributing equipment for them. And then question was that how did you retain the equipment, or was it just given out and that was it, or do they have some, like, how that part, because it's maybe a little bit complicated for some of the federations. How did you deal with that? What did you find out?
No, it's a very good question, Marco. So just to backtrack a little bit, the way we did it is when we did, enter into this partnership and get the IIHF funding, we went out to all of our Hockey Canada members, our 13 members, and they went out to all their hockey associations. So the window was pretty small. I believe it was about 2 weeks, but it was an application process where we explained what the objectives are, how we were trying to help them, but how also we wanted those pilots to serve as a basis of us helping out other associations in the future to scale it nationally. So I think we received roughly 70 to 80 applications in a very short span. I think it was a week and a half, upon which we reviewed. But basically, to answer your question, in terms of the equipment, we were offering 2 types of equipment packages based on the budgets that we had. One, as I mentioned, was a full set of equipment like you would have when you play hockey every other day. And the other one was reduced, so skates, helmets, gloves, neck guards, everything. So we gave the opportunity to those associations to provide which option was better. Some of them decided the full, some of them decided to have a reduced package, but also within those packages, some of those associations decided to simply give the equipment to the children. So if they did the pilots, those kids were able to keep that equipment forever and then move on to other hockey programs and hopefully register in sanctioned minor hockey here in Hockey Canada. Others elected to lend that equipment. So basically, if there was, for example, 40 kids trying a pilot, they would get the equipment for a set amount of weeks and then giving it back to the association so they could reproduce and run again the program in subsequent years. So both ways are good. Because in one way, obviously, the children gets the equipment, so it alleviates that financial cost on those families to then play hockey, while others decided to reproduce a program and give opportunities to other kids using that same equipment. So it all depends on what your needs are. I feel it depends as well on what the objectives of that hockey association is. So again, a variety of options, but in a nutshell, that's what we did.
Yeah, awesome. And then going going kind of to the future of the project, if you can maybe because we or you applied for another project based on what we did here for two. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because our application for the new Growing the Game Fund just opened up a week ago, and I'll talk a little bit about it later. But can you just say how did one step led to another, which I think it's a great showcase as well.
Yeah, no, definitely, Marco. And I mean, growing the game is never ending. I think us at Hockey Canada, with the wideness of our country, as well as any other M&As or federations across the globe, our objective is always to grow the game as much as we can. So basically, what we've learned from those 2 years of pilots is there's many learnings, and you saw them on video, and you'll see them in the playbook. But the key factors we've noticed is getting the registration information in the hands of the parents, or as we call the non-hockey families, so families that may not be playing hockey for whatever reasons those are. Getting ice availability at a good price to get those programs going, and also the equipment part is something that is quite vital compared to other sports. Hockey requires quite a few pieces of equipment, so when you're able to provide that access, it always helps. So to get back to your question, our phase 2, if we could call it like that, or the projects we're working on this year in collaboration and support from IIHF, is more how we could narrow down or simplify, I should say, the registration process. So getting that information in the hands of families so that they could easily register to hockey, but understand as well what the values of the games are, why we feel it's such a great sport, how easy it is to register, and how easy and fun it is to play afterwards. So we're working a lot with, like I mentioned, what we call new to hockey families, or as well here in Canada, new Canadians. So first generation Canadians, or different race or ethnicities. So we're working really closely with communities, and we're finalizing our agreements right now. But basically trying, like I said, to simplify the registration process, and as well get the information in the hands of those families, but get it in maybe languages other than French and English, which are the two main languages here in Canada. So we're doing a lot of efforts there, and hopefully by the end of this 25-26 season, we will get more more data, helping us again help all of our hockey associations and members here in Canada, and hopefully collaborate with the IIHF and help any other M&As or federations across the globe as well.
Yeah, I think like I said, that it's been really a pleasure working, and it's great to see the step forward. That okay, you've seen that how to do with that, and then what is the next step, that where do you want to make like next step in your game. And we got a couple more questions, but we'll come back to that, because some of the questions were related specifically to female hockey as well, and that's why oh, give me a second. That's why I wanna present, or the next topic. What we did is we had a chat with Blanca, and Blanca is our give me a second so I see myself as well. Yeah, Blanca is our women's program manager at the IIHF, and we talked with her about the World Girls Ice Hockey Weekend that was held a while ago, as well as the future Global Girls Game. So really happy to present this as well as part of our recruitment initiatives as the IIHF. Thank you, Blanca, for joining us. Blanca is our women's hockey manager in the IIHF, and we had a few weeks ago we had our World Girls Ice Hockey Weekend. So if you, Blanca, could say a few words, how many countries participated and how it went this year.
Well, thank you, Marco. I'm happy to be re-invited and to share some. Well, thank you, Marco. I'm happy to be re-invited and to share some of the experiences. We had an absolutely tremendous World Girls Ice Hockey weekend in October. We had 48 countries participating, which is an all-time record. So we're extremely proud of where the countries and our M&As are standing and where they're going with their women's programs. It's wonderful to see so many young girls being able to try hockey for the first time. I'm also very pleased to see that more and more countries are hosting more than one event. So they're spreading out to several cities, provinces, whatever countries may have. So this is very good to see, and it really shows the commitment to women's hockey.
Yeah, and what we can see is great that so many countries are actually having multiple events because they took it for their not just the federation but actually the clubs and the teams that they want to recruit new girls in. And I think this is something great that we accomplished as the IHF for so many years working on with this project.
And it's really good to see how it's spreading and how we can see that they're not only doing a good job with recruitment but also with retention and how they're able to keep more and more girls in the game, and obviously that has to be our goal going forward.
Yeah, and when you mentioned the retention part, we have a global girls game as well coming to us in March 2026. Can you say just a little bit, few words more about that? We will talk about that more in another Skills for All webinar closer to the event, but I think it's really good to connect recruitment with retention.
Yes, I mean, Global Girls Game is a great tool for retention, but also for marketing purposes and just giving visibility to women's hockey. So this is the game that we play around the globe, as the name suggests. This time it's going to be the March 6th to 8th weekend, and obviously we are a little bit competitive, being in the sport of hockey. So we want to grow this as big as possible. So already encouraging every country and every M&A to confirm their participation as soon as possible. In this case, while we very much appreciate when countries host several games, every country will have to dedicate one particular game that will be counted into the total global game result between, obviously, as we know, Team White and Team Blue. And we do have some very special plans going forward with Global Girls Game. I will keep it a little bit secretive at this point, but I'm just going to say that we are going to grow it as big as possible, but we will need the participation from every single M&A to be able to achieve our goals and really put this event along with women's hockey on the global screens.
Yeah, and you said this was the record of 48 countries coming to World Girls Ice Hockey Weekend. So I can say that the goal is now for us to break the record again and have even more countries participating with the Global Girls Game. Or is there some other goals for it?
Yes, I mean, if we achieve this goal with Global Girls Game, that's gonna already be great. But like once you achieve a certain record, you certainly don't want to go any lower than that. So, but seeing the excitement, seeing the commitment, I don't think that we have to be afraid of that.
Yeah, and talking about that, coming back to the World Girls Ice Hockey Weekend, and you are working with the IHF for a few years now, even despite your young age. But how, like, can you talk about how it started, approximately how many countries were joining at that time, and now how it, like we see that it's progressing really, really well. So how was the start of the process?
I mean, it started even a little bit before my time. So this is something that we've been doing for pretty much about a decade and a half, so around 15 years. Even in those crazy COVID years, we were able to hold at least a few events, obviously much lower in numbers. In the very beginning, the numbers were probably somewhere between 20, 25, then 30 countries. And then lately it's been in the more like 35 to 40, 42 countries. But as I said before, this really shows the fact that women's hockey is one of the fastest growing sports in the world. That now women's hockey is played in so many countries, and countries are putting a lot of attention and effort towards their women's programs. Yeah, well, I'm just very proud of everybody who is involved in this program. So we're about double the size as we used to be, and we're committed to grow it even bigger.
That's awesome. And for me, it was really, I scrolled down the social media from the IHF as well as the web page, and there is so many great material and smiling faces and people really being involved and enjoying the time. So I encourage everybody as well to go to the IHF pages and check it out what was done, and really the countries, because we have more than half of the countries now joining us for this, really encouraging all the countries and the clubs, even if you maybe don't work for federation, contact your federation that you want to be part of this. And I think this is really important that we grow the sport all together.
Yes, and thank you, Marco, for always including us in the webinars. This is very important, and yeah, it's really appreciated.
Good afternoon. My name is Ludwig Lord. I am Senior Manager.
Yeah, it's been really great to see how our World Girls at Hockey Weekend developed, as well as how our Global Girls Game will be in March next season. Blanca didn't want to say what there is something cooking as far as I understood, but we'll see in the future what will Global Girls Game bring us. And for next, there you go. For the next thing, what I would like to talk with you. Give me a second. My computer is breaking down. Yeah, for the next, what I would like to talk with you is about growing the game fund 2026 and its funding for the M&As for different projects and different initiatives. And that's why, for example, the Ludwig was talking about the project that they had for 2 seasons and now following the next season as well. And we will have 2 Zoom calls, one on the 14th of November, which is this Friday. One will be at 9 o'clock CET time, and another one will be at 17 o'clock CET time, which is 5 p.m. And if you are working with federation and your federation already received this email, if maybe you didn't see the email or maybe the federation lost it somehow, you can send me a message as well, and I'll forward you the link to it. And we will talk more about that there. So I don't. You can join us through that as well. But the application period is open, and the deadline is 21st of December for submitting. And as as talked already in the beginning, that all our recordings and all our presentations. So the presentation from today, you'll be able to download as well the PDF in a few days. You can scan this QR code, or you can take through the web page, and you'll be able to see all the webinars from before and all the dates and the links for the future webinars. And coming up to the next one, which will be the 10th of December. So again, second Wednesday of the month, we will talk about the Learn to Play programs. And for the Learn to Play programs, what we will talk will be with the Swedish Ice Hockey Federation, how their U8, U10 development model looks like, and how their player pathway for that Learn to Play looks like, as well as we will talk about our IIHF Learn to Play programs globally, what we are doing, what is our plan, and what we did, what we are doing, and what are our future plans for the Learn to Play. And just a small side note as well, if you are working with federation in Europe or Africa, so we had one Learn to Play for Asia already few weeks ago or a month ago, and we'll have one for Europe and Africa, which will be held 2nd to 8th of February. 2026 in Budapest, and the deadline for submitting your application from the M&A is in next few days. So this is just a little bit re-encouragement for the federations to send their people in. So it's for the people working in federations who are in charge of Learn to Place. Just a side note. And again, on the end of every presentation during our webinar, really thanks to everybody joining and the people who are watching us on YouTube. Now this will be the last part of the YouTube. If you want to receive direct email to receive all the YouTube links and the Zoom links prior to the webinar, you're more than welcome to send me the email, and I'll put you to the direct list that we are sending every month. And if you want to continue with the discussion, please join us with the Zoom. Everybody who are in a Zoom, we will add you as a panelist as well, and we will be able to have a discussion. So thank you all for joining, and we will stop recording it on the YouTube, and we will put you